The time is 7:30 in the morning. This space you are looking at is called Jabbar Road. It is one of the main streets of Jerusalem, Israel. At this time, on almost every morning except the Sabbath day, the streets of Jerusalem are filled with people hurrying to begin the day's work. 4,000 of these, about 1 in every 20, are in a way related. They start out every morning at 7:30 for one or the other of 100 buildings that are part of a whole, so they are related in time and space. They come from every part of Israel, before that from every part of the world. They are men and women, they are Jew and Muslim and Christian, they are young and old. And yet they are related one to the other, and related also to the 50 buildings to which they hurry. For the 4,000 men and women and the buildings to which they go are the students, the staff, and the 100 houses of the Hebrew University. And this film, being a factual presentation of the ordinary days of these men and women, and of the work they do, and the places in which they do it, this film is, you might say, a study in the relativity of time, space, and the Hebrew University. This is a documentary. The people shown are students and staff members of the university. The places shown are those in which the university works. Well, it's time for us to get started, too. There really isn't much space here, but I think you'll be able to see everything. Since 1948, the Hebrew University has rented temporary quarters in some 50 buildings scattered throughout Jerusalem. The Faculty of Humanities, the Law Faculty, the stores, the Department of Biology, Administration, the Medical Faculty. Well now, to get from Terra Santa, where we are, to, let us say, the Language Department in the annex of the King David Hotel, 0.2 of a second to point the way on a map. But let us suppose you're not a pointer on a map. Suppose you're a student here in Terra Santa, and your next class is somewhere else. What then? איך קוראים לך?
דבורה רומנוב.
באיזו שנה את לומדת?
שנה שלישית.
איפה יש לך שיעור עכשיו?
בית הספר קפלן.
This is Devorah Romanoff. Miss Romanoff is a third-year student in the Kaplan School of Economics and Social Science. She has a lecture now in King David Street. Let's watch her get there. תמהרי עכשיו. Thanks to me, Devorah is a little later than usual, so she cannot wait for traffic signals, a procedure we do not recommend. Time is relative, and though it takes only 25 seconds on the screen to go from an early study period at Terra Santa to the seminar on the economics and absorption of immigrants in the Kaplan School, it really takes 7 minutes if you hurry. Devorah is 21. She can do a lot of hurrying, but no matter how young you are, you can't run all day long. The average student may spend as much as a sixth of each school day just hurrying from class to class. If he rides, he spends less time, but he spends more money. So most walk. It wasn't always like this. In the time before April 13th, 1948, the university was in its proper home on Mount Scopus, in a space and with facilities adequate for its needs. In 1925, when the Hebrew University was opened, it was dedicated to this ideal. We shall open wide the gates and windows of this institute in all directions to admit all the good and sublime thought which has ever been and is being created by the mind of man. During the 23 years that followed, the Jews of Palestine and the friends of the university throughout the world built on Mount Scopus an institution worthy of its ideals and its purpose. On April the 13th, 1948, before the Arab invasion of Israel actually began, 77 students and professors, doctors and nurses were murdered on the road to Mount Scopus. Since then, the gates of Mount Scopus have remained shut, its buildings empty, its books and equipment unused, its purpose denied. For though we hold the hill, the Arabs, despite the armistice agreement, still bar the road. But in 1948, the war was won. The state was born. More than 500,000 people were pouring into Israel. And the state had need of doctors, scientists, economists, teachers. There was no time to wait for the return of Scopus. There was no time to wait for proper space. In April 1949, the university went from this to this, and in rented quarters scattered throughout Jerusalem, we began again. The heart of a university is its library, the assembled knowledge of the past. Our library was lying useless on Mount Scopus. The first task was to create a new one. We have recreated the Jewish National and University Library, and there is drama and bitter justice in the library's rebirth, for it began with the harsh, unwitting gift of Adolf Hitler. In 1938, Hitler took the matches away from his Nazi book burners and set them to work collecting books, Jewish books. From every conquered city in which the stormtroopers set their bloody heels, he was going to collect the greatest library of Judaica in the world. As the war was ending, the university sent its librarians to search the ashes of the Nazis' European fortress for the stolen books of the looted libraries, to dig 60,000 books out of the cellars of Poland, 20,000 out of the warehouses of the IG Farben industry, manufacturers of poison gas for the chambers of Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen. 190,000 books, the remnants of the looted libraries of Europe's slaughtered Jewry. And so it happens that a man with the concentration camp number still on his arm can sit in the book bindery of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, safe at last in his own land, and open a book and be carried back in time to the horrors from which he was delivered. And the same man, in that same moment in time, may be given a book to carry his thoughts back beyond memory, to the 15th century in Salerno, Italy, where a Jewish physician created this textbook for the first medical school in the history of man. The curriculum of the Hebrew University Hadassah Medical School is somewhat different from that of the school at Salerno. We brew no potions of wolfsbane or mandrake root. But it too is a first. The first medical school in the Hebrew language, and the first and only medical school in Israel. Here, in lecture halls improvised from concrete blockhouses, in a rabbit warren of laboratories that were formerly the halls and bedrooms of the dilapidated Hotel de France, in a group of miscellaneous sheds and buildings, we are training more than 400 doctors, pharmacists, dentists, medical technicians of all kinds. The space may not be suitable. Both words are, in any case, relative. Out of this unsuitable space, we have already graduated more than 100 doctors who are now serving the people of Israel. Within the next few years, we will graduate hundreds more. Space and supplies are the major problem. We are often short of both.
ולכן הן מתפזרות רק בפלזמה ובנוזלי הגוף האחרים. אם בודקים כעבור 20 דקות,
There are too many laboratory students for the amount of space available. So, we put a microphone in front of the professor and install a loudspeaker in a building 300 meters away. One professor, 3 laboratories filled with students. It's inconvenient, but it works. There isn't space in the quarters of any faculty to store equipment and supplies. When these run short, they must be ordered from the central storehouse 4 miles away. A place like this exists for every university everywhere in the world. Behind the professors and the students and the laboratories and the research projects, the stores, Pandora's box. Electric light bulbs, frosted, clear, fluorescent. 23 light bulbs for the students' hostel, check. Laboratory glassware, long neck bottles, measuring bottles, beakers. Glass tubing, 1 inch, 1/4 inch, 2 inch. For the chemistry laboratory, the physics laboratory. 3 miles of glass tubing. Paper, all kinds, carbon paper, typing paper, filter paper, 37 tons of it, check. 20,000 items, not counting basic equipment to keep the university going. Every day, the truck from central stores carries evidence of the complexity of the university's activities and of the genius for improvisation which has kept the university alive. Today, for example, the truckload includes a chair made in Israel for 2 students, also, as it happens, made in Israel, who live in a converted British Army barracks. This is Allenby Barracks, a holdover from the British Mandate. It is now one of the university's student hostels. A student here pays a rental of 6 Israel pounds a month, a little more than £1 sterling, about $3. We maintain 4 of these hostels, housing 220 students. We need housing for 10 times that number. This trial is not a trial. The accused isn't guilty of anything except being a second-year law student. The judges are in their 3rd year, as is counsel for the defense. The spectators aren't spectators. They are really judges. They are the teachers of the Faculty of Law. And the mock trial is taking place in the law school's quarters, rented from the Ratisbon Monastery.
הוא היה בנתניה, נפגשו איתו, ובילו ימים ולילות ביחד. הם יעידו שמכל התנהגותו, מכל השיחות איתו, יש לדון שזה לא האיש שהיה בדעתו לבצע תוכנית פשע כלשהי. מספר ימים לפני תום החופשה.
These glassblowers are working in the basement of a converted apartment building that houses the laboratories for the 560 students enrolled in the university's science faculty. 5 stories up are laboratories that seem to come straight out of a science fiction film. But though the men shown here are nuclear physicists, they are not creating atomic weapons. This is a postgraduate course involving experiments in electronic spin resonance and nuclear resonance. And 2 miles away, in what was once a reservoir, the university's nuclear physicists are searching the inner structure and properties of minerals and chemicals found within the earth of Israel. In our country, a small country that measures the length and breadth of its earth in acres, everything that is in the soil, or will grow from it, or can live off it, is important. Other aspects of this basic problem are the concern of the university's School of Agriculture. Here, the Department of Animal Husbandry has brought together cows from Jersey, long-eared Damascus goats, Saanen goats from Switzerland, Corriedale sheep from Argentina. And the research problem? How much food yield per acre of pasture? Others work on questions of soil fertility and plant diseases. Whether the students are learning to be scientific farmers or research technicians, the object is the same: more food. All over Israel, and especially in the undeveloped Negev desert, the field work goes on. The desert botanists, the geographers, the geologists roam the scorched and arid Negev, reading its history in the cliffs and canyons and watercourses. The Negev was once a fertile land and will be again. We are beginning to know what will grow here. We are relearning the secrets lost for centuries, whereby the ancient peoples who lived here hoarded each precious drop of scarce rain. This is an enormous work. It will be measured in decades, but it is beginning, and the university plays an important part in it. As the scientists and the agriculturists search the land of Israel, so the university's Institute of Jewish Studies searches the history and the heritage of the people of Israel. Here, in a seminar of the School of Oriental Studies, the students are learning something of the folkways of the Yemenite Jewish community, the magic carpet people who have come from Yemen in all their thousands and enriched our national culture.
שושנה לובשת את האנטרי, את הבגד של הכלה. ועכשיו ננסה את הקרגוש. תלמוד ישנה השאלה אם מותר להסתכל בכלה.
The heritage of all mankind leads back to a cave such as this one. The study of this heritage is the work of the students of prehistory. When these students have finished, this tiny basement museum will contain certain relics dug out of the earth of Israel to trace the history of man 500,000 years before recorded time. Time is elastic. and the university delivery boy, driving 30 miles an hour, can pass 500,000 years from prehistory to the time of the Bible. The acquisition by the university of the Dead Sea Scrolls has shed new light on periods of Jewish history and on the beginnings of Christianity. These scrolls may yet prove to be the most important and the most revealing archaeological discovery of modern times. The Dead Sea Scrolls are recorded history, as is the Bible, as is the very ground we live on. History is everywhere. The university archaeologists scratched on a hill at the modern settlement of Kiryat Amal near Haifa and found the necropolis of Beit She'arim dating back to the time of the Romans. Buried the patriarch, Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, and his son Rabbi Shimon, and his son Rabbi Gamliel. And after them, Jews came from as far as ancient Antioch to be buried here in sacred ground. Through the centuries, thousands of graves were cut in the solid rock of this hill. The archaeologists working here are living with history and with tragedy. This inscription reads, "Here they are resting, Atio, the daughter of Rabbi Gamliel, son of Nehemiah, who died a maid, age 22, and Ation, the daughter of Rabbi Yehuda, son of Rabbi Gamliel, who died at the age of 9 years and 6 months. Every stroke of the brush, every thrust of the pick brings to our present view a part of the past. Well, we've had a look at the university and at some of its problems in time and space. We've seen something of the university's past and of its present. As for the future, that was part of the beginning of the future. These are the sounds of creation. Here, in a part of Jerusalem called Givat Ram, the new university is being born. It is almost a decade since the university came down from Mount Scopus, and we have grown fourfold. Someday, the facilities on Mount Scopus will again be available, but they will never again be adequate to house more than a small part of the university. We have come to the crossroads. We can no longer live in the 100 temporary houses that represent our exile. The university influences every part of the life of the people of Israel. The demands made upon it grow greater every day, and we must grow to meet them. So here at Givat Ram, with the help of the Jewish people everywhere, we are building the new university. On these 125 acres of land, future generations of students will learn to serve the world in which they live. Out of the accomplishments of the past, we have gathered the skill, the courage, and the faith to plan this future for the Hebrew University of Jerusalem.